Preview.
There's nothing quite like Catherine, the story-heavy puzzle game coming from the same development team that brought us the Persona series. You see the mark of Persona here. The day is split into two portions, for example. Daytime socialization and nighttime gameplay occurring in your nightmares. But Catherine plays nothing like the developer's previous games. It's made up of block puzzles. Blocks that you push and pull and climb across on your way to the top of a tall tower of them. Sounds simple and silly? Neither could be further from the truth. Catherine is entertaining, tense, and fiendishly difficult. So difficult that some players might quit before they reach the end. And that would be a sad thing, because this is a very unusual game, and it tells an unflinchingly personal and thoughtful story.
Sure.
Catherine isn't about saving the world or anything else you would expect a video game story to be about. It is instead about a guy named Vincent. Vincent is a quiet and conflicted man. His girlfriend, Catherine with a K, wants to marry. Vincent, on the other hand, likes the status quo. And then another woman enters his life, Catherine with a C.
You must like what you see.
I'm not staring.
You're a bad liar.
This Catherine is such a sexy, perky temptress that Vincent finds himself waking up with her the morning after meeting her at his favorite bar, and thus begins a story more intense than even most Save the World tales. Saying too much would risk spoiling important events, but let's just say that keeping these two women apart and coming to terms with his feelings becomes a frightening nightmare for Vincent. As he falls further and further down the rabbit hole, you feel for him. The animated cutscenes do a fantastic job of communicating Vincent's stress and of making you feel the stress right along with him. Close-ups of his sweating face, tense music cues, and the new Catherine's odd, jealous behavior keep you on edge. In the daytime hours, you hang out at the local bar. Here, you talk to your close buddies and other patrons. You also get text messages from your two gals and can respond in different ways. In addition, you answer certain questions at the end of each nightmare level. How you respond to these texts and to other situations affects a freedom versus order meter, and where you stand on that meter determines how Vincent will respond at specified moments during cutscenes.
Make a move. She forced herself on me.
It also helps determine which of the game's multiple endings you receive. Some of the questions are weird or wouldn't seem to indicate a place on this compass, but it's a neat twist on the usual morality mechanics because it's not really about good and evil, but it's a different spectrum entirely.
I suppose.
Vincent's life might be stressful, but it's got nothing on his nightmares. This is where you'll spend most of your time, in part because you're gonna need to work to win. You start each stage at the bottom of a tall tower of blocks, playing as a hyperactive Vincent with sheep horns and clad in boxer shorts. Your goal? To climb to the top by pushing, pulling, and hanging. The basics are easy to grasp, but this is by no means an easy game. Eventually, you learn various techniques to succeed. Create stairways, push blocks away to bring higher ones down, and so on. You also need to consider special blocks made of ice, exploding blocks, and more. All the while, the bottom of the level falls away, forcing you to keep climbing. Block puzzles may not sound intense, but the sense of urgency mirrors the story. You're constantly on edge. But bear in mind that this game is super hard. Just figuring out how to get to the top is rough sometimes, let alone dealing with the timer. Giant bosses stab you with forks, shoot beams at you, and cause all sorts of other troubles. It can be a bit much. The way the camera swoops around during these fights can be distracting, and the controls aren't as smooth as they should have been. The camera has trouble in other places as well, for that matter, such as when Vincent hangs from a rear block and you can't see him.
Alright, I got it.
After a while, you might be inclined to throw in the towel, but if you persevere, you can succeed. Unfortunately, you can drop to a lower difficulty between chapters, but not in the middle of them. and that means potentially replaying chunks of gameplay to get to where you left off. It's also too bad you have to make it to the end to unlock the simple but hysterically fun local competitive mode. Why would you force people to finish the game before unlocking it? Unlocking the standalone trial chapters is also tough since you have to get gold medals in the campaign stages, which can also be ridiculously tough. So no, Catherine isn't for everyone. But if you want a game that challenges your brain and makes you feel like you've conquered the universe every time you win a stage, this is it. Throw in a gripping story and an anxious atmosphere, and you get a game so unique, there's really nothing else to compare it to.